joy, peace, tranquility, vibrancy, and wellness. Isn't this what you want instead of constant stress? That's what host Rochelle Lawson is going to help you with on Blissful Living. There are many ways to reduce stress, some you may not even know about. Doesn't a little peace and tranquility sound like just what you've been looking for? Relax for a few minutes with Rochelle. She's the queen of feeling fabulous.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blissful Living. It's the queen of feeling fabulous, Rochelle Marie Lawson, and I have a great show in store for you. I know lately we've been focusing on our health and well-being and keeping stress out of our life, which is what the show is always all about. But here's one area that can be a little bit stressful for you, especially if you don't know what you're doing or if you've tried to do it and you've lost big. My guest today is going to share with us some wonderful information about how we can really, or why automatic investing management can be a great way to invest for the rest of your life. So if that's piqued your curiosity, I want you to get a piece of paper so you can take notes and something to write with, sit back and relax, and just enjoy the wisdom and information and nuggets of gold that the guest, who I'm going to reveal in a few minutes, is going to share with us today. But before we get started, I want to thank our host, or our corporate sponsors, the Health Healing and Wellness Company. You can check them out at healthhealingwellness.com. They're a holistic online wellness company that has designed their services around what you need to bring health and wellness into your life in a holistic and natural manner that actually works. It's easy to do, and you can have sustainable success by following what they guide you to do and teach you how to manage your health and well-being on a more holistic and natural level. If you're ready to get your body right for summertime, or if you just are ready to get your body right for all the time, you definitely want to check out the Health Healing and Wellness Company at healthhealingwellness.com. Our next sponsor is a telecommunications installation company that has been in business going on 27 years, and their motto is they make the right connections the first time. In today's society, if your telecommunications is not operating efficiently, and we all have had problems where we can't connect, or the connection is down, or something came loose and it's messing up the flow of our business and of our life, that can be quite havoc-wrecking and quite expensive. And so if you want to make sure that your network distribution is operating efficiently and effectively all the time, then you definitely want to check out the sponsor, alldaycableinc.com, and see what they have to offer with regards to services to help you stay ahead of the game in this modern world of telecommunications and technology. And remember, they make the right connections so that you don't lose any of that valuable connection time with those that you are serving. Again, alldaycableinc.com. And so now I just want to get ready and jump into the show. I want to tell you a little bit about our guest. And his name is Mr. Jeff Weber. He was born in the Bronx. He had his first article published in Railroad Model Craftsman back in July of 1965, when he was just 17, and I was just a wee newborn back then. He's published his own newsletter for the last 10 years, and it's available on his website, and we'll give you more information about him as we dive into the show, and more information about how you can connect with him. For over the last year, he's published a weekly column for Talking Points, a newsletter entitled Contrarian Corner. Now, he went to the college at the University of Arizona, so he's a Wildcat alumni, and he got a bachelor's degree in history and government, and I'm sure he is not working in history or government. Then he went to law school for a year and a half, and then he went to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and majored in accounting. Wow. He worked for the U.S. Army as an auditor and lived 17 years in Germany, Korea, Japan, and Belgium. And he has published his own investing book called I Guarantee You Will Buy Low, Sell High, and Make Money, or Here Are the Customer's Yachts. And I'll tell you more about how you can get a copy of that book as we go on. But without any further delay, I'm so curious to hear about our guest and what he has to share with us about why automatic investing management is a great way to invest for the rest of your life. So, Jeff Weber, welcome to Blissful Living. How are you doing?
I am doing great, Rochelle, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're very, very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you, and I always love hearing about investing because, quite frankly, I can admit it. I am an investing idiot. I mean, I dibbled and dabbled. I shouldn't say an idiot, but yeah, okay, I'm a neophyte. I dibbled and dabbled back in the 90s. I don't know if you remember when the I think they were called the Beardstown Ladies, and they were a group of
oh, yes, I remember them.
That started in a women's investing club, and then that just kind of sparked something all around the nation. Well, I was in a women's investing club, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the youngest ones in the investing club, and all the ladies in the club worked for Lawrence Livermore Lab, and they were all, strategically getting ready to retire, so they were serious. And here I am, this young one, just, basically piggybacking off of their enthusiasm with investing, and we made some tremendously great investments and made some good money, but it was really fun to learn and watch these ladies really get and dive into it. And so, I'm always really, really interested about investing because, as you know, what you do now can make or break you in the future.
Oh, yes.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into, you have this background, you obviously are an author because you've been writing forever. You've, dabbled in history and government and accounting. But what led you to, the investing area of the world?
Well, actually, I got my start investing when I was 8 years old. I lived in Ramsey, New Jersey. We had a major railroad run right through the center of town with 4 tracks. My dad actually used to commute on that Erie-Lackawanna Railroad to Hoboken and then worked in Manhattan. So I loved trains, both big and small. And I remember one day I was an avid reader my whole life, and my dad brought home the newspaper, and I look in the newspaper and I see that Erie-Lackawanna has a stock, and it was selling for $2.62. Well, I had a $300 in my little community bank from raking leaves, mowing grass, shoveling snow, all the good things kids did to make money. So I told my dad, I said, "Hey, Dad, I'd like to buy 100 shares of Erie-Lackawanna." And my dad had grown up, unfortunately, during the Great Depression, and he only saw the bad side of investing, not the good side.
Right.
So he said, no, keep your money in the bank where it's safe. Well, safe meant that I was earning about 1% on my savings account, which is roughly what they're paying today, which is not going to get you on Easy Street. So, I asked and asked. My dad said, no. So I gave up. Well, I woke up Christmas morning, and my dad gave me the greatest Christmas I ever had in my life. He had bought me a model train set and set it up on our ping pong table in the basement. And then, so I was thrilled with that. And then I go to my Christmas stocking, and somehow or other, my dad had managed to buy me 5 shares of Erie-Lackawanna stock. How he did that, I never found out, because that's like $10 worth of stock. So I said, okay, better than nothing. Well, to make a long story short, the Penn Central Railroad bought the Erie-Lackawanna Railroad the following summer and redeemed every share of Erie-Lackawanna stock for $16. So I got this big check for $80. And I'm thinking to myself, I was a math major even then. I said, if I had bought 100 shares of Erie Lackawanna, I'd be getting a check for $1,600. That's all the money in the world to a kid, you know. So I knew there was money to be made investing. So, and I was always an avid reader, and so I kept, as I got my job at the Army, I'd, go TDY a lot, and I'd always haunt used bookstores, and I found a book by a gentleman by the name of Robert Lucillo, who invented the AIM investing method, or automatic investment management system. I read his book, and I thought, this is a brilliant system, but I didn't think he really gave good advice on what to invest in with his system. To me, it was like he gave you a race car, but then tried to put regular gas in it so you weren't going to get maximum performance.
Oh, right.
So I kept, always interested in investing, so I would go to a lot of different free investing events, and I finally found the perfect way to use Lucillo's AIM investing method for ordinary investors so they could make very high returns and make them very safely.
Wow. It sounds like you're just one of those people. You know how some people are just born, destined pretty much to do what they do when they grow up, but they know, it's like when you're a kid, you do stuff and you just do it because it's interesting and it's fun, but, you don't know that you're really born or destined to do that when you grow up. And it just sounds like, as a little kid at the age of 8, you were already thinking that, but you were just thinking that because you like trains and stuff, but you had no idea at the age of 8 before you could foresee your path, further down the road there.
Oh, no, I had no idea then.
Yeah, and isn't that cool? I think that's so cool. So now, with regards to investing, and thank you for sharing your story, because I know a lot of people out there, in today's society, and when I say today's society, I'm going to say for really the last 20 years, the economic stability with regards to our economy and growth in our retirement accounts and savings accounts and things of that nature, as we all know, it waxes and wanes. It's like as they call it, a sine wave in engineering, back in the day. It's like a sine wave. Right. It's up, it's down, it's cyclical.
Right.
And so I remember opening an online banking account back in, I want to say early 2000. Back in the early 2000, it was online. They were giving 8%, interest, and it was a friend of mine told me about it, and I'm like, it was easy. It was like, okay, I set it up. There was 2 different banks doing that. They had the highest interest rate that they were paying. I set up a savings account. I had automatic withdrawals that I didn't even think about or see, and my money grew. And then the economy tanked. And then that 8% became 0.8%.
Exactly.
And it was like, what the hell am I doing still putting my money in this? I mean, I'd make more money if I probably had it just sticking it in my mattress, like they used to do back in those days. So with regards to that, and, I know a lot of people out there have experienced those things, and to even today, I mean, your average savings account pays maybe, if you're lucky, 1.2%, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's not going to be enough to retire on.
Oh, heck no.
So people need safe ways to invest that pay much higher rates of return.
Most definitely. And so I know that you have a method, and I want you to share what is the method that you use to invest.
Okay. The best way to invest is to be contrary. That means when everyone is selling, you want to be buying, and when everyone is buying, you want to be selling. So I'll give you a quick example of how my system works. Basically, you're going to invest in long-term options or leaps on very safe stocks like Dow Jones stocks like IBM, Merck, American Express, IBM, companies that are all household names. But here's the trick. Let's say you were going to start with $10,000 on on one investment, one leap. You would buy 5,000 worth of the leaps, but then you would also put 5,000 in cash with your broker, and you would have that money there to buy more leaps when the price went down. And I'll give you the perfect example. With ExxonMobil, the big oil company, in January of 2016, the option I owned was selling for $970, okay? The very next month, that option went down to $430, which meant most people were selling those options, and the continued selling drove the price down. But I'm a contrary investor because I want to make big profits. So rather than be selling like the herd is doing, like everybody's doing, I bought 6 more contracts at $430. I had the money to do that because I had half my money in cash. I bought them. The very next month, that option went from $430 to $1,335. Using the same calculations, I found that the share value now is much higher than my control number. So AIM, the math just happened to work out. AIM said sell 6 contracts at $1,335. So when I looked at my little spreadsheet where I recorded the transactions, I see I bought 6 contracts for $2,800 when it was $430 a contract, and sold 6 at $1,335, which equaled $8,000. So the same options I paid $2,800 for in February, I sold for $8,000 in March. And then that money goes right back into my cash account, so I have plenty more cash to buy next time. So doing that with 10 different dogs of the Dow, which is just a fancy name for the 10 Dow Jones stocks that pay the highest dividends, I am up 157% in 40 months, 3 years, 4 months, which means, and that of that 160,000, 80,000 is in cash and 80,000 is the value of the options. So I also have an emergency fund with $80,000 in it. If I needed a new transmission or something, I could take a couple thousand out of there. The AIM investing method would never miss it, and I could keep on investing, and I don't have to borrow money from the bank, because I guarantee you if you borrow money from the bank, the rate is a lot higher than the 1% they'll pay you.
Right. Wow. So I know there are people listening out there and saying, well, I don't have that much money to invest, or, how does someone like... You
can start with a very low amount of money. I could have somebody start with $1,000 and still do it. $2,000 or $3,000 would be better, and of course more is even better. But you can start with a very low amount of money. So don't let anybody tell you, you can't do it, because you can.
So you don't need a lot of money to get started. You basically
No, you don't. Not at all. I can work with anybody and help them with any amount of money. I can get them started.
So now I know you said you use your AIM method to invest, and you've been very successful with it, utilizing it over the last, 39, 40 months, and you're up, a lot, way higher percentage than anyone could ever imagine. Over 100% is phenomenal versus being, on the red end of it. You're in the black end of it, which is great. What are some of the other benefits, or what are some of the benefits of using this type of investing system that it seems like it's just geared to work?
Okay, here's some of the other great advantages. First of all, you can use this method of investing the rest of your life. It'll work now. It'll work 10 years from now. It'll work 100 years from now. It's a timeless method of determining the best time to buy and sell. And not only does the system, tell you to buy or sell, it tells you how much to buy or sell. And also importantly, it tells you when to do nothing, because the price hasn't gone up or down enough to make it worth your while to buy or sell. Also, it takes very little time. You can do it a couple hours a month. it's not like you need to be glued to your computer or look up the price every 10 minutes. So it's very easy to do, and it's easy to learn, and it doesn't require any special adjustments. Once you learn the basic method, you do the same thing month after month after month, and you can check 10 different leaps in about an hour, and very, very easily. So, and I also, if people want to get started and they think, this is a great way to invest, I like the type of returns that Jeff is telling me, but I'm not sure if it's for me, well, then you can hire me to help you manage your account for the first 6 months. I'll work with you, help you learn it, and then you'll be able to do it yourself for the rest of your life. And not only can you help yourself, you can help your family and friends by sharing this with them, because the more of us in it, the better, because we're now responsible for our own retirement. The good old days when I was young, many years ago, you'd start on the loading dock, and retire as the company vice president with a nice defined benefit pension plan. Well, those days are gone, unfortunately. Even maybe Social Security will be gone. So, and the other beauty of this, my method of investing would work very well in an IRA or even a 401k if they let you trade within your 401k. Because if you do it within an IRA, then it would grow tax-free until you start taking the money out when you retire. So there's many ways to do this, and, it's averaged for the first 3 years. I mean, for that 40-month period, think about it. If you're up 157% in 40 months, you're making about 50% a year on your money, and that's pretty good, because unfortunately most professional, people can't get you those kind of returns. You're going to have to settle for much lower returns, and unless you have a lot of money, it's very hard to make enough money for retirement. If you just start with a very little bit of money. But if you start with a little bit of money with me, you'll be able to compound that money at very high rates of return for years and years. And I'll just give you one example, that it's hard to believe, but it's true. I started a model portfolio 11 years ago just to test and see, does AIM work very well with the long-term options? I picked very conservative stocks. But to give you an idea, if you had started with $72,000 11 years ago on McDonald's and bought the long-term options, that's $36,000 worth of options, $36,000 cash. That $72,000 has grown to $1.2 million in 11 years.
Wow.
That's on McDonald's. That's a lot of quarter pounders,
Wow, that's a lot of quarter pounders. Okay, so I know there are people out there listening, and they're very green to this. What would be a couple tips that you would, recommend for someone that's like, okay, yeah, I like what he's saying, but I'm not sure what to do, or what would be a couple tips that you would recommend for those people that are just like with regards to it? Okay,
for people who are interested, I would strongly recommend they go to my website, which is jjjinvesting.com. When they get to my website, they can order a free copy of my original book, which is 350 pages, and they will get a free 1-year subscription to my newsletter where I show them what works the best with AIM. And I have 7 portfolios in there, and they can see how they're doing. I have one portfolio of just stocks because the long-term options didn't exist 24 years ago when I started this original portfolio. And that portfolio has gone through several big recessions, including the dot-com bust of 2000, 2001, and 2, and the big financial meltdown in 2008 and 9. And that portfolio has grown from 15,000 to 151,000 in 24 years.
Wow.
So AIM loves recessions because it gets a chance to buy all sorts of cheap shares and sell them later on at much higher prices. So that's the basic way it works. You're buying all these things so cheap when they're down and everybody else doesn't want to buy them, and then you're turning around and selling them when all these people are buying them. So basically, other investors are helping you all the time by doing just what you want them to do. They're dumping at the wrong time. They're selling at the wrong time and buying at the wrong time, but that helps you make lots of profits.
Wow. Okay. So you guys out there listening, if you're, wanting to begin to dibble and dabble and take responsibility of your future retirement, as Jeff says, and I'm pretty well aware myself that I think even when I retire, I may not be able to get my Social Security, so I better hopefully have another avenue to keep doing and saving money.
I mean, everybody has to take care of yourself. The government will not do it. You can bet on it.
Yeah, if you're dependent on the government to do it, it's not going to happen. So you guys out there listening, he gave you a huge thing that you can do. He's giving you a free book. You can go to his website, pick up a copy of that free book, and then, begin going through that. But the other thing is, of course, that he will help you. And in turn, it's not like when you go to a banker or a bank or an investment firm or, E-Trade or whoever, out there. It's not like they have an agenda. They are there to sell you into specific products.
Right.
With
exactly.
Jeff is giving you the power of your own destiny and showing you what you can do. And
it's very simple. I mean, all you have to do is open a brokerage account, which is very easy to do. The commissions are very, very low, and they will serve you and keep track of all the information you need. And, I can help anybody, get started with that, open a brokerage account. But, the key is to get started, to realize, because I used to kid people. I'll be 70 in 2 months, and I kid all the young people I meet in person, and I say, I'm living proof that old age sneaks up on you, and you never see it coming. So you better start now so that you have the advantage of 20 or 30 years compounding. Don't be my age and suddenly realize, geez, I should have started investing 30 years ago. It's too late then. This way that you start young, you can start with a small amount of money. You'll have a large amount of money when you want to have a large amount of money. And you wouldn't have to worry about a robot replacing you in your job.
Exactly. And so, see, you guys listening out there, again, Jeff will walk you through the process of really setting it up for yourself and then allowing you to pay it forward. So once you learn it, you can teach your family, your kids, whoever, do the same thing. It's like you get a gift and then you give a gift to someone else. And, that's a beautiful thing, because when you give and receive and give, many, many, many wonderful things happen in your life. So now, here's somebody out there maybe listening and be like, oh, I've been investing with XYZ Bank, and they really take care of me, and I just give them my money, and I don't have to worry about it. And we all have heard those stories about those athletes that have people managing their money and doing investments, and when they go to retire, and I'm thinking of one particularly, when they go to retire, guess what? It was poor management of their money, and they have no money, so they have to work a little bit longer because they've been basically cleaned out, and they don't know it because they're relying on someone else. You're giving people the power to know what's going on in their instance in their life. But you also said that it's not something that they have to micromanage 24/7.
No, it doesn't take much time at all.
And, once they set it up, they can do it, right? So
exactly. It's very, very easy. It just takes, it's like anything else in life. You're totally incompetent at anything until you learn how to do it.
Right.
Think of I think of all the young people who are willing to, they're going to pick up one college textbook and it's going to be 800 pages, they have to learn all that material, and that still hasn't gotten them a job or put money in their pocket. My book is much simpler. To learn my method would probably take a week or so at the most, and it's something that's going to make you a multimillionaire later in life. Your college degree isn't necessarily going to do that. And, there's plenty of MBAs out there who are not working as MBAs. And,
right.
They have tons of college debt and all this other stuff. So, if you don't take care of yourself when you can, there's nobody's going to take care of you when you can't. So, you can't depend, unless you want to be, living a life you don't want, you kind of realize that the most important thing you can do at any point in your life is worry about the future as well as worrying about the present, And
yes.
I kidded this one time. I taught a class on this investing at Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany. And I used to I'd do two things. First, I'd ask the people in the class, mostly young, airmen and soldiers, and I'd say, was anybody owning these stocks? And you see a few hands go up. And the first thing I would tell them is, if you can't tell me when you should buy more, when you should sell, or when you should do nothing, then you shouldn't own it. Then the second thing I would tell them is things like I said, let's say you go out and buy a fourth television set, because you have three, but this is the new model. You have to have it. So you go out and spend $1,000 and buy that TV. So I used to ask them, I said, well, how much did you pay for that TV? And they'd look at me like I'm an idiot, and they'd go, well, I paid $1,000. I said, no. I said, you paid $23,000. And they'd go, well, what do you mean? I said, well, if you hadn't bought that television and you had invested that money using my AIM strategy, in 10 years you'd have $23,000. And I said, what good is that TV 10 years later? Probably a piece of junk that you threw away. So I said, you just spent $23,000 of the future money you could have had for something you really didn't need. I mean, how many of us have a garage full of stuff and said, why the hell did I buy that? You got to realize.
Saving that, right?
I know. Why you bought it? It's not. You're not even using it. Now you're saving it, so you can't even use your garage. So I tell people, I'd say the advertising world is too slick. They don't want you to invest your money. They want you to spend every nickel you're earning on buying their stuff now. Well, if you spend every nickel buying their stuff now, you'll never have anything for the future.
Wow.
So
that's a great piece of advice, because so many people live for the moment. I know this gentleman that is 63 years old, and he has a really he has a really good paying job. But here's the thing: he has a heart condition, or had a heart condition when he was young, and so he's got like a defibrillator and all this stuff. So his motto was, I'm living for today because I never expected to live. He had the heart surgery when he was in his 30s. So his motto was, I'm living for today because I don't expect to live. I don't expect to live into my 60s. Well, here he is now, 63 years old. He doesn't own a house. He spends money like it's crazy. It's actually very sad to see someone in this state. And he doesn't own a house. He makes all this money, but as soon as he gets it, he spends it. He has a wife that, if she's not getting a $10,000 piece of jewelry or, whatever she wants, she's feeling neglected. And he's like, well, I got to buy it for her. And I'm like, but you don't have any property. You don't have anything to show for all this money you made.
Right, and most people, even if they don't want to make it for themselves, they have a family, they have children. Don't you want to leave them something, when you're gone?
But you can't even retire in 2 years because you have no money.
Exactly.
It's like a sad state. So it's like, with regards to that, give another tip out of your, as to why people really should dive into learning more about your AIM investing method versus trying some other method. I mean, I know you gave some good information already as to why it works, but give those out there who just still might be skeptical or on the fence as to why your method is the best method and not something else.
Okay. I would say mine is the best method because, first of all, it makes very high returns. It won't make the same return every year, but the nature of it, it's the perfect way to invest when you look at the way the stock market really operates. The way the stock market operates, it's going to go 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And to give you an idea, what the trend of the stock market is, the all-time low for the Dow Jones Industrial Average was in 1931 when the Dow Jones itself was at 31. That meant, since there's 30 stocks in the Dow Jones, the average price of a share of everything in the Dow Jones was $1 a share. Okay, give you an idea. A very smart man by the name of Bernard Baruch, one of the great investors who ever lived, told his stockbroker, I want you to buy me 10,000 shares of every stock on the Dow Jones. His broker said, you're crazy. Baruch said, do it. He bought the 10,000. That made him a multi-billionaire because the Dow Jones grew from 31 in 1931 to its present value, which is roughly 20,600. Figure out the annual rate of return gain on that. And that includes the Great Recession. That includes all the big recessions, the dot-com bust, the financial meltdown, whatever. The overall path of the stock market has always been up. So at any point in time, you can join the ride and keep on going up. Now, the way to think of the stock market is illustrated very well out of Fiesta, Texas, one of our fine, amusement parks in San Antonio. There's a ride there called the Rattler, a big roller coaster. And that's basically what the stock market is, a big roller coaster. What does that mean? That means it goes up, then it comes down, and then it goes up. If you ever look at a chart for the stocks, for the Dow Jones average, the Standard & Poor's average, you will always see up and down movements. So I have the perfect way to play the stock market the way it really is, which means you're taking full advantage of all the dips and the drops by buying, and you're taking full advantage of all the uphills, the peaks, by selling. The other thing is it's something you can do the rest of your life. It's not like it's just going to work a year or two and then it won't work anymore. It's always worked and will always work. And I'll give you this other amazing statistic that's true but hard to believe. Okay, I've got that one portfolio going back 24 years. I have several LEAP portfolios that go back 11 years. All are highly profitable. Like I said, the 24-year one is up 910%. The LEAPs, one of the LEAP portfolios is up 400% in 11 years. The other one's up about 325%. In the newsletter, you'll see I take the big boys, the famous ones you're hearing about today, Apple, Google, Alphabet, and you look at them. To give you an idea, Apple alone has more than doubled in the last 15 months. If you had started with $100,000 in Apple 15 months ago, you'd have $205,000 today. Now, Apple option contracts are a little expensive, so they'd be for more affluent investors, but there's something for everybody out there. I can work with somebody who's got 1,000. I can work with somebody who has 1 million and find just exactly what would work the best for them. So rich and poor can both benefit from this system. And I always viewed my mission in life is to help other people. When I worked for the Army, I can remember over 40 years ago, I walked into this one colonel's office to talk to him about an audit, and I saw this poster on the back of his door, the greatest poster I've ever seen. I wish I had seen it more places in the Army. The poster was a silhouette of an infantryman holding his M16, and the caption read, "What did you do for him today?" And I thought that's the whole purpose I exist and what every officer in the Army should exist. What did you do for that Spec 4 who's in the trenches doing the real fighting? What did you do to make his job easier? What did you do to make his family happier? What did you do that made him easier to do his job? And so I viewed that and I said, that's what I'm going to base my Army career on, helping the soldier by making their lives easier with my audits and recommendations to make it, things go better for them. And then
Right.
I found my interest in investing, and I said, originally I was just looking for myself for a good way to invest. But when I found this method, I said, this is so good, so effective, so easy, doubles as an emergency fund. I've got to share this with the world. I want to help everybody. Because there's too many Bernie Madoffs and Stanfords out there that are swindling people,
Yes.
And I used to tell people, I'd kid people, I'd say, you know what the saddest words in investing are? I said, it's a guy walking into a stockbroker's office and going, I have $100,000 to invest. What should I buy? Because then the district manager is going to go, hey, Charlie, get those old shares of stock out of the closet we haven't been able to sell for 6 months, because if we can sell them, I can get a trip to the Poconos, So,
Right.
So I try and tell people, I said, and unfortunately, a lot of brokers, they're fighting to have what they call a fiduciary responsibility, which means they put the investor ahead of themselves,
Right.
which is sad.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of brokers are selling things. I even had one broker one registered agent tell me, he said, oh, yeah, he'd say, a lot of times what mutual fund I would sell to an investor depended on how much of a commission the mutual fund company was paying me, not that it was the best fund for the investor,
Right.
So I have no interest. I don't control your money. I just show you how to invest your money and the great returns you can make from using my method of investing. If it wasn't, and here's the other amazing statistic. Okay, I remember I said I have one portfolio going back 24 years, two going back 11 years. This is true, but it's hard to believe. 100% of all cells under the AIM system are profitable. 100%. Because you could never have a sell unless you bought something at a cheaper price.
Wow. That's phenomenal information right there. And I think, those out there listening, that probably did pique their curiosity. I want you mentioned a term, and I know there are people out there listening, but we didn't really talk about it. You mentioned a LEAP portfolio. Can you explain to the listeners what exactly is that?
Okay. All a LEAP is, almost all stocks have various forms of options. All an option means is for a limited period of time, you are allowed to buy 100 shares of that stock at a certain price, which is called the strike price. So the way I set mine up, let's say IBM is selling at $130 a share for the stock. I look for what they call the long-term options. The definition of a LEAP is very simple. It's just an option that has more than 1 year before it expires. And LEAPs always expire the third Friday in January. So right now, the LEAPs that I have in my portfolio are the January 2019 expiring options. So that means they have about a year and 8 months to go before they expire. Now, one of the objections I used to hear from people is, well, stock never expires, but an option expires. So what am I going to do? And I said, I figured out how to make your options perpetual. I said, here's what you do. Here's what I teach them and show them. I said, come this September, October, and November, the new LEAPs or new long-term options that expire in January 2020 come out. So come December, I sell all the January 19 LEAPs or long-term options and replace them with the January 20 long-term options. So now you've got options with 2 years before they expire. Now at the end of next year, you roll them over again. So you're constantly rolling them over. And then I practice other little tricks, like, for example, you make your money on options not having a big cash balance. Well, if you have a very successful LEAP, like, say, the IBM LEAP, it went from 1,500 in January 2016 to 3,750 in December 16. Well, when you're selling the LEAPs, your cash keeps growing and your option balance goes down. So at some point, let's just say you started with 6,000 worth of options and 6,000 worth of cash. Well, if like 6 months later you have 8,000 worth of options, but you have 16,000 worth of cash because you've been selling it, well, now you have way out of balance. You only have 1/3 of your portfolio in the options and 2/3 in cash. So what I do is I readjust the cash leaps balance. So I say if I have 8,000 worth of options plus 16,000 worth of cash, I have 24,000 in the portfolio. I say, what is half of 24,000? 12,000. So then I say, at the current price, how many more option contracts can I buy with that additional 4,000? I buy those contracts. So now I have the balance back to roughly 12,000 options, 12,000 cash. That helps me make more profits in the future. And then every year when I readjust them, I also, readjust the cash stock balance back. And I change the strike price. So I like a strike price that's near the share price. So like if IBM is selling for $131, I'm probably going to buy the strike 130 option. But a year later, if IBM goes from 130 a share to 160 a share, when I buy the next year option, I'm probably going to buy the strike 160 option because it's going to be cheaper and I'll be able to have more contracts. So that makes it easier to trade. So I can help anybody, and I can explain all this to people, and everybody who wants to can get a lot of, my 30 years of experience very cheaply or for free.
That's beautiful. I want to ask you, that's some really, really good information because I know you have that, you talked about the leap portfolios that you have and, the success that you've had with all the, what you use with regards to your AIM investing method. And I really like that. But, you have people out there like, I'm going to just say the guy, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And he, has a method that he uses and so on and so forth. And then you have, people like you said that you go to the investment broker or whoever, and really they take your money, but it's all about, selling you something that's going to produce for them the highest commission. They're really not vested.
They're not all totally unethical, but a lot of times, like I talked to one financial advisor who's a very nice young lady, and she told me her company would not even let her sell options, period. So right off the bat, they can't even offer you something like this, even though it's extremely safe, probably safer than some of their investments.
Right.
And so you'd be shut out. So, it's really important for people to educate themselves as much as possible about investing so they can understand for themselves the best method of investing for them. And for most people, a very safe way that doubles as an emergency fund and, can be done for life is the best way for them to invest because they have less money to start with, so they need to make higher returns. And then, something they can do once they learn it, they can basically put it almost on autopilot because it's so easy to do. They can do it easily without interfering with their busy lives.
I like that. And I like, in today's society, everyone pretty much, because everything is going so fast and, it's like you're on 24/7, so to speak, to be able to invest and put it on automatic pilot where you don't have to sit there and watch it, like this penny stocker people or, stuff like that where you can just do it, know that it's working for you, but you don't have to babysit it, so to speak.
Most of the brokers even have, apps so you could do your trading on your smartphone even,
Exactly.
And I like to tell people, I said, it's just as easy to make a trade from a McDonald's as it is from a beach in the, Gulf of California or, or Riviera or whatever, you can do the trades right there too, while you're working on your tan, So I always tell people the secret in life is to make money without having to be physically present to do it.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
and most
Yes.
jobs won't let you do that, you know.
No, I know. It's like this is my vision of me, you know, making money, and this is my office vision. I'm sitting on a beach in the Caribbean somewhere. My view is the beautiful, tranquil, you know, turquoise blue water. You know, I have a nice umbrella protecting me from the sun. I've got a nice little drink next to me with a little umbrella. I have my phone by my side just in case I need to make a trade. But if I don't need to make a trade, I'm still making money, and I'm loving my office view, right? I mean, that's my vision, and it's like if I could do that and live my life.
Well, I can make your vision come true.
See, I knew you were the guy for me. I knew it. I love it. Okay, I want to ask you, because I know we're getting close to our time, but I want to ask you, with regards to, you know, your aim, and I know it works so well because you do the contrary investing strategy, which I think is really great, and I don't think I've heard anyone talk about that, you know, or anything like, you know, sell high, buy low, you know, but when everything is going low, everybody's talking about selling. They're not talking about buying.
Exactly, and that's ridiculous.
Which is what you're saying.
I mean, of course, there's,
and
here's
right?
the beauty of my system. Okay, there's two basic types of options. There's calls and puts. Calls means you're bullish. You think the price of the stock's going to go up. The price goes up, your call goes up. But if you were negative on a stock and you think it's going to go down, you could also buy the put on it, and the put goes up in value as the stock goes down.
Oh.
So you can play both ways with my system if you were a more sophisticated investor. I rarely recommend puts for people, but on certain stocks, that could be the right play. You know, but for the most part, I'm bullish on America, and so I tend to be, you know, buying calls because I think things will go up, and all my research has been on calls, you know, not really on puts. But, for example, you know, at some point you could have made a lot of money on puts if you bought them on Enron before the company totally went belly up as a scam, you know.
Right.
So there's companies like that out there that have disappeared, you know. Very rare, but it can happen. So if you understand my investing method, you could use it mine would have worked great if you had leaps around in the Great Depression, it would have worked. But what I love to tell people is every now and then you're going to see outstanding buy opportunities. When you had the financial meltdown in 2008 and 9, get this, you could have bought American Express stock, not even the option, the stock for $9 a share.
Wow.
The stock right now is selling 8 years later, that stock is selling for $79.
Wow.
Now, here's another advantage of the option that a lot of people don't realize. Okay, two good reasons why you want the options rather than the stock. First of all, the option that you want to buy roughly near the share price of the stock only costs about 10% what the stock costs. So if IBM is 130, you can probably buy that option for $1,100 a contract. So you're controlling 100 shares for $1,100. If you bought the stock, you'd have to buy 100 shares for $16,000.
Wow.
Plus, if the stock goes up 2%, the option is very likely to go up 6 or 7%. So it's much more volatile than the underlying stock that it represents. So the combination of higher volatility on the options plus owning many more shares that you can afford of the option compared to the stock is why you can make so much higher profits. Because in my newsletter, I show people, I said, yes, my system would work on stocks. I used the same dogs of the Dow stocks in one portfolio, and in 40 months, it's up 39%. But the same portfolio with leaps instead of stocks is up 157%. So I tell people, I said, would you rather be up 157% or 39% with investments with exactly the same risk? You know, that's a no-brainer, you know?
Right.
So that's why the leaps work much better. And, you know, you got to get a permission from your broker to trade them, but it's fairly easy to get because, you know, you're not doing the riskiest kind of option trading. I think a lot of people are overwhelmed because there's probably 500 or 600 ways you can invest with options. I just use one very simple method that's not confusing at all, and I explain it thoroughly to people so they understand and do it right. And that's why I like to manage for them at first, so I make sure they get off the start, you know, and they're adding and not subtracting or something, you know, so they're doing it right from the beginning, because the learning curve is only there in the beginning. After, you know, a couple of months, it's going to seem very natural, and you can almost look, you know, just look at the price of the option and say, I'm going to have a buy or sell, when you just see it going up or down. You learn how that works. So it's just like anything else, you know, practice makes perfect. You practice a little bit, you know, I mean, you know, is practicing to have a great life for the rest of your life worth it? I think so, you know, because all of us are learning stuff every day. Why not spend some time learning something that's going to make you real money, give you the future you want, take care of your kids, you know, and something you can pass on for generation and generation to your family and friends and help them, you know, then I feel I've lived my life on earth for some good purpose if I can accomplish that.
I agree. So now, does a person that wants to do the investing, one, is a two-part question. One, do they open up a brokerage account with you, or do they do that with someone else?
Oh no, they open their brokerage account with the stockbroker. I in no way touch their money. You know, their money is completely under their control. So I've been recommending TD Ameritrade because that's the one I do business with. They're a very good company. They will help you. You know, you just go to their website or any of the other ones. And in chapter 1 of my investing book for free that people can get they could email me at jeffee13@hotmail.com. I have a list of all the brokers, their charges, and people could, you know, look them up and see which brokers they like the best. But all of them are very competitive. That one reason I like TD Ameritrade, they just dropped their rates by about 1/3. They used to charge $9.95 commission. Now it's only $6.95.
Oh, wow.
You know, so investing even got better, and they have great research, great help. You know, I've always been satisfied. So I recommend them just because I've been dealing with them and been very happy, and I'm hard to please. So if they make me happy, they'll make you happy.
And then the second question is, people don't give you money, right? I mean,
they do not give me money unless they want to hire me for $200 for 6 months to help them get started and manage their account. But I do not handle their money. They don't come to me with $20,000 and say, Jeff, buy me some options. No, I just help them set up the broker account, and then they send their money to the broker, and then I help them get started by buying their options with the broker. But their money is 100% under their control at all times.
Wonderful. All righty. Well, thank you, Jeff. I mean, we're coming to the close of the show, and I just am so jazzed to hear about, you know, a very simplified method of how we can invest and really be in control of our destiny when it comes to our future with regards to, you know, our money and how you have this wonderful system, automatic investing management that can help people to do that just for a few minutes a day, help them to manage their own money and see and watch their money grow into something that's absolutely unbelievable, so that they do have something when it gets time to retire. They have something for the future. I love that. And then I like how you shared, you know, information about the lead portfolio and just how, you know, people, you know, their strategy is really, you know, when everybody's selling, you buy. When everybody's buying, you sell, of course. I mean, it seems so simplistic, but that's not what the norm is. And so, you know, it's like when
the market has always done that.
It's like everybody has on black shoes and you have on white shoes, and of course you stand out, and you stand out as being different, and not part of the norm, but sometimes being not part of the norm is the best thing for you.
Exactly.
So I like that information. So again, share with people, how if what you shared with us today piqued their curiosity and they want to get in contact with you, or they want to find out more about you, share with people how they can do that.
Okay. There's several ways you can contact me. You can email me at jeffee13@hotmail.com and ask me just to send the free investing book and newsletter. You'll get a free newsletter for a year, and you get my big book. Now, I've written a new paperback book in which I updated some of the information and really go into detail on how to use the dogs of the Dow. If you would like to take a look at that book and order it, it's available on Amazon Kindle, and you just go to this website, bit.ly/your yacht. And if we have time, I'll just give you a quick story on how I came up with the title, Here Are the Customer's Yachts. I'll end with this one, another great story. This is from 1940. A banker and a stockbroker take a guest to their yacht club. So the guest is driving in his beautiful limousine, and they pull into the parking lot of the yacht club. And the guest looks around, sees all these other beautiful limousines and fancy cars, and he goes, wow, So he looks up at the yacht club, and it's the most beautiful building he's ever seen. Wow. And the stockbroker and the banker go, come on in. So they walk inside the yacht club, and he sees all these beautiful crystal chandeliers, mahogany, beautiful exotic pool tables, just everything, that you'd ever want to see in a yacht club. And he's, wow, this is amazing. So the banker and the broker go, come on, let's go out to the dock. So they start walking out on the dock. Well, they walk a little ways, and the banker goes, oh, look, there's my yacht. And the guest goes, oh, that's beautiful, so large and gorgeous. They walk a little bit further, and the stockbroker goes, oh, look, there's my yacht. Oh, that's magnificent. I love it. So they keep walking down the dock, and finally the guest turns to the banker and stockbroker and goes, excuse me, where are the customer's yachts? Well, that's why I say, here are the customer's yachts. You read my book, you'll have the yacht. The banker and the stockbroker already have theirs. You need yours.
Exactly. I love that. What a great way to end the show. So, Jeff, thank you so much for being a guest on Blissful Living. It was such a pleasure to have you on and really learn more. And
Rochelle, since you live in San Antonio, you should come over here and let me talk to you for an hour or so on my investing method, and I can show you a lot of things.
I sure should. It's like, it sounds so intriguing and so interesting, and anything that's automatic works for me because like I said, we're all so busy. So anything that I can do that's on automatic that will allow me to continue to grow my my portfolio, so to speak, is all for me. But with that being said, I want to thank everyone for listening and tuning in to Blissful Living. Thank our wonderful guest, Jeff Weber, for sharing his words of wisdom on why automatic investing works and how it can work for you. And it's a great way to really save for the rest of your life. And so with that being said, also I want to thank our sponsors, All Day Cable Incorporated, as well as the Health, Healing, and Wellness Company. Please go check them out, alldaycableinc.com and healthhealingwellness.com. And until next time, everyone, may you have peace, wellness, tranquility in your life. Until next time, be well, everyone, and goodbye for now. This is the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, Rochelle Marie Lawson, saying goodbye and have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.
You can find out more about Rochelle on her website, Rochelle Lawson, Rochele Lawson, LAWSON, or at healthhealingwellness.com. Or just click on her websites from the webtalkradio.net page right in front of you. And of course, you'll want to come right back here next week for another episode of Blissful Living. Thanks for joining us.